there's something so distracting going on. It's a train horn, but I know it's an E flat because it's in the same key.
Really? Is it really? Is that E flat? Is it?
Can you play it? Yeah, match it to him.
Yeah.
Match it to him.
So today's guest is a bassist, guitarist, pianist, songwriter, and producer with the sexiest hair in show business. He and his two brothers, Joss and Jake, along with their childhood friend Danny Wagner, make up the already legendary rock band Greta Van Fleet. He's toured around the world playing on some of the biggest stages, including performances on Stephen Colbert's show, Jimmy Fallon, SNL, and even shared the stage with the homie Elton John. He is a Grammy winner who's always rocking the stage. Barefoot, baby! Woo-hoo! Coming to us live with a lobster and a beer, ladies and gentlemen, Sam Kiszka.
Hello! Thanks for having me, guys. This is a great Saturday night date.
This is a great Saturday night date, man. The fact that you have the white piano behind you, I feel like at some point during this, you might have to turn around and play us a little ditty.
Oh yeah, I got Jimmy showing up in 20 minutes. He's gonna play some lounge piano, relax, smoke a cigar or two.
I like that. Oh, I didn't even realize the whole time that you had a bib on. That was beautiful.
Oh my, yeah, done eating right now already. I love it.
It's so delicious.
How do you like this beer, by the way? I know you're a beer connoisseur, to some say.
As in, I drink a lot of beer. I would say that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. I am an IPA fan. I mean, when you're looking for like beer that tastes like something, IPA is kind of the way to go.
Yeah.
What do you find yourself drinking on the road normally?
Well, that's funny because I've been through all the phases. And the last one that I was going through right before touring stopped was beer. And you know what's wrong with beer when you're playing an hour 45 show? That you have to pee.
I was literally about to say, you have to pee.
I've had to pee in dumpsters off stage. It's like, oh, it's drum solo time. I gotta piss.
So when you're in a show and you really do have to pee, do you just quickly walk off stage, or do you what have you because I've done that in a show where I've had to walk off and pee, so I totally understand. And I was almost questioning, do I pee my pants or something? Like, to keep going? I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, well, hopefully, I like to think that we're professional enough to not have to put ourselves in that situation. But it does happen. And actually, I've peed behind my bass amp before.
No.
Direct show.
Are you serious? With your bass still on you?
Yes. I'm like,
That's incredible.
But and beer, because it's not too easy to overdo. But I feel like whiskey. Brian, do you have a drink of choice?
That's a good question. I would, like a couple years ago, I probably would have said whiskey. These days, whiskey got the best of me, and it was a great time. I can't complain about that at all. But these days, I would say it's beer, but I don't necessarily have like a specific beer that I go to all the time. It's always changing.
I know. You got to keep it rotating.
Yeah.
Life is about rebirth. That's why we must drink different beer all the time.
Exactly. And you don't know what type of moment you'll have with a certain beer, and you never expect the fact that you could have that moment with that beer.
What kind of dogs do you have, Sam?
We've got a big old pit head, and we've got a little mutt girl, lab mix.
They're so cute. They're so cute, dude. Yeah.
And I'm assuming your lady takes care of them, when you're away touring, or do you bring them with you? What's the deal?
She doesn't let me. I always say that I'm going to take the dogs, but...
No way she will. No way. No. Young Jeezy is the most loving dog mother you will ever meet, and there's no way in hell that she would ever let those dogs go with Sam on the road. I know that for sure.
I thought the dog's name was Jeezy.
You're right.
No.
Young Jeezy, yeah. Good girl.
No, dude. Stevie Nicks.
Yep.
That's one of the dogs. Yeah. They're looking at me like, okay, what are you gonna say next? Stevie Nicks? Yeah, we know the singer.
That's the whole thing. That's the whole statement.
That's it. Yeah, that's all I got. That's one of the dog's names. What's the other dog's name, by the way?
Named after powerful women. So Stevie from, kind of off of Stevie Nicks, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Rest in peace.
I love that. That's
Beautiful
powerful.
woman.
Rest in peace.
Hey, cheers to that.
Yeah,
cheers to that. Cheers to that. To Ruth. Yeah, cheers.
Cheers, brother. Dude, so let's move to this lobster roll, man. So we send you the Get Maine lobster roll. And tell me about the special ingredient that you chose to put on this.
I went to Turnip Truck, right?
Ooh. Oh yes, I love Turnip Truck. Yes.
It's made by Haven's Kitchen. It's Zippy Chili Harissa. Bam. Oh, that's my hematoma too, right there.
Is that hematoma? That's not a painted nail. The rest are plank. Wow.
No, out of style. No, but yeah, I like a nice zesty kind of thing. I'm really into peppers and just like that oomph. But yeah, it's nice and smooth, and I don't know. I just thought it would complement it, kind of give it like a Creole kind of feel.
So should I dip it? Should I dip the roll into the sauce, or should I drizzle the sauce on top of the roll?
I just committed. I went for it. I just drizzled around.
You went for full drizzle? Okay, Chef Sam says full drizzle.
Full drizzle. Put it on.
By the way, I just looked to my right at Alec, and Alex is already gone.
And I'm going to be honest again, we've had a lot of different tastes with different people's choices, and I got to say, this really goes. You get a little sweetness, the spice, it is money.
Do you have a personal favorite? How did you, or how would you customize this, Brian?
Okay, so growing up, eating lobster, it was always the main style of tossing the lobster in mayonnaise.
Classy man.
Very classy. But I almost revert back to it's not classy. Like, I feel like the classy thing is you get the fresh lobster, you drizzle the butter, and you just need a little seasoning on it. And it's fine. Actually, this harissa sauce tastes really good on it.
Mine's already gone.
Yeah.
I probably could drink the sauce with it. So wow, this might be my number one pairing so far.
Number one? That's a full statement. So I'll be honest. So Sam, let's talk about when we started the show. We said we will be very deliberately honest about how we feel about each ingredient that each guest brings to the roll. So the fact that he just said that this is your favorite right now.
I think it's my favorite, and Scott's was really good. He had some hot sauce and some basil. Yeah. But I gotta say, Sam, I think you have the number one taste right now. The flavor with the lobster roll and stuff. Wow, that really goes together.
Yeah. It's not a competition, though. It's not a competition, but
it's not. But we might have to carry on with the Sam Kiszka roll.
I think we have a thing now. Yeah, absolutely.
So good. Delicious. This is rad.
I'm enjoying this a lot.
What do you normally find yourself eating on the road and stuff?
It got a little difficult 3 years ago because I went vegetarian, and of course I make exceptions for a lot of shellfish, especially, and just fish in general because I'm a big sucker for seafood. So after show food is a very strange thing because you get done and it's going on 11:30, midnight. And sometimes if you're playing little tiny towns, you're kind of in the middle of nowhere. You don't know what you're going to get. So touring food is like crazy. I would prefer some Indian, some fresh kind of Asian food. Even sushi's really good for, staying light, not being too weighed down. But yeah, the times that you have to eat, you have to like really plan it out. It's like, okay, so an hour before show is good. It's not, you don't feel weighed down and you don't feel hungry halfway through. So yeah, all kinds of stuff, but that's what I dig. I mean, I love food. I think that's one of the best things about traveling around the world is getting other people's interpretations of what food is and what food means to the culture and the home.
What have you missed the most since this past year? Obviously, you've been off the road because of the crisis. What food have you missed the most when you're on the road? I
would say seafood like this.
Yeah.
Because let's say we're traveling through the West Coast. Let's say we're, East Coast, Gulf Coast. They're all good. But being here in Nashville, there's very limited options as to, what fresh fish is, fresh oysters and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You're going through stopover at Boston, and I mean, every time we stop through Boston, we sit down for some oysters.
Yeah. Do you remember any spots you actually went to in Boston? Just to. I don't remember.
I'm gonna text my brother Jake, and then we'll revisit this.
We'll revisit this. Yes, I love that. I love that. Get that info.
What about growing up, where you guys grew up in Michigan and stuff? Did you have any favorite spots? You grew up in a really small town, right?
It was how do you pronounce it?
Yeah,
Frankenmuth?
Or Frankenmuth?
Frankenmuth, yeah. Super good. And it's kind of funny. It's known for this Zender's world famous chicken. And our joke was always you got there and you tasted it and you're like, this isn't that good. It's not. They never said it was good. It's just world famous.
Oh, they had the title. Great branding.
Great branding. Good job, guys.
Yeah, well done. Well done.
But no, I mean, around us, there really is not much. There's a new development in Frankenmuth, new as in like 3 years or so, called Prost. And every time I go home, that's a place that I find myself getting into. Because, the Midwest, I mean, there's just not a lot of kind of vegetarian ideals there. It's
Is the Prost based off of, isn't that Cheers in German?
Yeah.
It's Prost.
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 Hey, Prost.
Cheers, my brother.
I feel like you guys and you yourself, you have a real rebellious vibe to you and stuff.
Yeah.
Did that kind of come from, you guys wanting to build that in your rocker image and homage to the old school people? Or did that come from you guys growing up and where you grew up from?
I think the latter. I think sometimes I feel really silly talking about social issues that are very much real.
Yeah.
Because I came from such a sheltered community with so much opportunity. And I mean, we got out here in the real world very quickly. I mean, we were playing bar rooms at 13 years old, like real ugly stuff.
But at 13, so you were playing for what, like 30-year-olds and stuff, rocking out?
Oh yeah, probably much older than that. Lots of drugs. Like you would walk in the bathroom and I saw people hit and blow off the toilet seat at like 12 years old.
Wow.
In a little White's bar in Saginaw, Michigan. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, but I think I talking about opportunity. But once we got onto the world with this great opportunity to go out and be a part of this global society and having a way to go and see different cultures and go to see how different people live and the poorest of the poor and the richest of the rich and everything in between. And I think that's the kind of the job of an artist is to understand the social climate, the political climate, and be able to talk about these things. Perhaps not provide answers. I mean, that's not our job as artists to provide answers. Is to identify issues. And I think that there's a lot to say about this generation. But as far as Frankenmuth goes, I would say that it was a very organized, normal, ordinary community. And I think that really gave us this sense of urgency to rebel, because we always felt like we were being, put in this box of a society, like where there's a lot of social norms, like, oh, you can't dress like that. You can't wear Hawaiian shirts in December, guys. It's like, okay, but yes, you can. So it wasn't hard to stick out in Frankenmuth and be different. And I think that's kind of what I fell in love with, is being different. I mean, that's the beauty about humanity, isn't it? Every person is a snowflake. Every person is unique.
Or where did your guys' unique style come from, and yours specifically?
I think it was just a real kind of expression thing. And that's what I love about clothes, is that it really, you can dress a certain way and it lets people know exactly who you are and what you're about. And there's kind of initial reaction that, somebody else will have, the way that they'll perceive you. And I think that we all kind of emote that we don't really fucking care what people think.
I love that, man. I feel that through knowing you as a person and your artistry. When I dug into the band and got to learn about it, that authentic, just realism and honest truth that you guys radiate from who you are as people. I mean, we just got done talking to Scott Avett, and it's the same thing, and that's why I love the Avett brothers as artists. You guys share the same thing, where you're not in this for catching your 5 minutes of fame. You're just like, yo, man, my brothers forced me into the fucking garage to play bass when I was younger, and I started playing bass, and I have all these influences, and it's something I love to do, and it's beautiful, and I love it so much.
Thanks, man. We're gonna end up getting real sappy like we always do.
I know, dude. I fuck it up every time.
Every time, yeah. Brian and I always get into these real deep kind of intellectual talks about, the children and as you're handing a
picture.
Well, I mean, I guess those
He's
are
filling up the picture right now. Yeah,
but
it's sappy.
Over the picture, though, those talks really do come out and stuff. And I guess that's something to say about sitting around with, again, it's looked at sometimes negative as drinking. And again, yes, not all people should do it and stuff like that. But there's something to be said about the community ship and the conversations you have over having a drink late night and stuff like that.
Absolutely. We almost joined the mug club at, was it Franklin Tavern?
Franklin Tavern.
Yeah, we were convinced at one point. We're like, we're gonna be here at like 70, 80 years old. Just that's our mug on the wall, little Johnny.
Yeah. Well, so what does the Sam mug look like if you had an ideal mug?
Ooh.
What is your mug? Your grand mug that you're holding in your hand, drinking out of always.
Have you ever seen the classic German Stein?
Of course. My last name is Schlegelmilch, so I understand the German Stein.
My buddies at school we would go to Goodwill and we would collect all kinds of giant obnoxious mugs and use them at school. Just like doing the most obnoxious shit we could possibly do. Like you take it out, set your giant mug down, pull out like your tea tin and like a thermos of hot water and like sit there and make a hot tea while everybody's trying to pay attention. It was hilarious.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I was a collector there for a while.
What else did you collect?
Just mugs.
Mugs.
Just mugs. Wait, so Sam, what's your mug collection right now?
Oh man, it's sitting back home in my parents' house. It's
taking up a lot of space, I gotta believe. Mugs aren't that small.
Dude, so what's the significance for you in Frankenmuth with Fisher Hall?
Fisher Hall, it's a very special little music venue. I guess it's not particularly even a music venue, but I remember as a young child going in there and watching the old people play polka music. And my grandfather played accordion in a polka band all his life. He's in his early 90s now, and he hasn't played in years, but I think that's where kind of the musician's lineage in our family starts.
Yeah.
It's our grandfather, who's a first-generation American.
Wow.
And, so I remember going there and having this wonderful experience, and then coming back to it much later in life. And there's something so distracting going on. It's a train horn, but I know it's an E flat because it's in the same key.
Really? Is it really? Is that E flat? Is it?
Can you play it? Yeah, match it to him.
Yeah.
Match it to him.
Right. We'll get back to the piano.
That's incredible. That's an East Nashville train flying through right now.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And also, it's raining like hell, and I just got a flood warning. So if the house starts going sideways, you know what happens.
Yeah.
So
I've been there.
Beer in one hand, sliding down with the water.
Yeah.
in the
Hey,
other.
don't let the beer go down, by the way.
You know when you're like drunk and you like fall, but somehow the beer doesn't.
But somehow you keep it up. It's like, this was more important than my head.
And
what's up, guys? As always, thank you for watching. I promise we will get back to the episode right away. But I want to let you know about something special that we are doing. Here at L&B, mental health is very important to us. So we have collaborated with today's guest to create a t-shirt based around subjects that we've talked about in today's episode and stuff that means a lot in their lives. And we put it into the t-shirt in a design, and we're selling it right here at this link. If you go to this link, you buy the t-shirt, 100% of the profits for the next month will go to a mental health organization. So right here, this link, go get that t-shirt. Now back to the episode.
what's been your favorite place of all the places you've hit that you've traveled to? What's been your favorite so far?
I don't care where I am as long as I'm with Brian.
My heart, dude, stop. You cannot make me cry on my own show. It's not allowed.
Well, let me think. Ooh, also, Jake texted me. The Union Oyster House.
Union Oyster House.
Oh, I love that spot. I've been there. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, it's underneath the hotel.
Yeah. The Union Hotel. Yeah, the Union Oyster.
So Union Hotel, Greta Van Fleet, Sam Kiszka, he loves you. Give the man free oysters next time he comes.
Yeah, where's the free oysters, man?
And my oysters.
Yeah, where's my oysters? I want free oysters.
We've never done oysters together. We should do that sometime.
I would love that. Can we do oysters in Boston sometime soon?
Oh yeah, man, let's do it.
We do a little sit down.
You heard it first.
Oyster tasting.
Yes, you heard this first. We're doing oysters in Boston.
You still have to get your butt back to Nashville, man. I do want it to be known though that we're gonna be doing some cool shit together. You and I, Brian, in the coming years.
Yes.
I'm more talking to an audience right now, but when you're a musician, it's really weird because you don't go to work. You just kind of hang out with people, and you have to spend a lot of alone time thinking and creating. And Brian and I have had a lot of great late nights just up in the apartment with his piano and doing some writing. And sometimes he'll play some guitar, or we'll just put a chord progression together and do some demoing, and some really cool stuff that's come out of it. And I think it's really cool, the fact that it really stretches my creative scope because I work in a very specific realm.
Yeah.
So when I'm kind of doing something more in a hip hop sense, my brain works the same way, but it's applying it into a different genre. And of course, genres are just constructs. But I think it's really cool that we can work together on different perspectives.
Yeah, that was one of the beautiful things that I've been graced by your presence, and I wanted to talk about, because aside from, you know, everything you do, playing bass, keys, organ with the band, man, you're a producer, you're a songwriter, and I'm just curious, like, where does that fit for you now in your life today, especially since the band's been off the road? You guys obviously have the new album out and all that, but for you as a songwriter and a producer, like, what do you see as like a future thing for that?
Well, it's rough, man, because it is very much the whole fact that I am a functioning member of the band. And to a certain extent, we are all producers, and we know exactly what we want
That's true.
our songs to sound like.
Yeah.
And achieve those tones. And not only that as a producer, but cutting the fat on stuff. It's like in full disclosure, I think it's better to go further than shorter. Always go the distance and pull back. If you're pulling back, that means you're in a good position. But we haven't been recording in a long time. Of course, when I was out in LA and I came to visit you, we were out there for like a month and a half.
Yeah.
We were working on a lot of stuff, a lot of filming, and using that part of our brains and that part of our creativity to do something different. But that was the last time we did tracks. We did the last 2 tracks for the album.
Wow.
So yeah, there hasn't been a whole lot producing wise, but we're trying to get some demoing out, and we're working on the next record too.
Yeah.
And do you have, is it, you know, kind of this along the same lines of what you guys have been doing, or are you trying to branch out into a little different sounds?
Well, The Battle at Garden's Gate is a very cinematic album. We went to producer Greg Kirsten, and we said, because we were meeting with different people to see who, you know, we resonate with and who we can really work with and be honest with at the end of the day. And we came into Greg's house studio, and we were like, Greg, you know, we want to make a cinematic album. We want to make something that's really big. And he was totally on board with it. We talked music, and we talked our favorite records, like Odyssey and Oracle by the Zombies.
Yes.
Just like these perfect records, and the Village Green Preservation Society, and you know, we were by the Kinks, and we were all just so on the same wavelength. And so we worked with Greg on this, and he really was able to take our kind of, you know, sonic landscape thoughts and apply them to that texture, like recording onto tape, using his extensive knowledge of like pedals and racks to be able to create these tones.
Yeah.
In these, because really I think that when from an engineering standpoint, from the sound perspective standpoint, you can sit there with your eyes closed and listen to this song, and you're somewhere and you can see it. And I think that's really what we wanted to do for this record. And we definitely did something that was really ambitious compared to our previous projects, and we really went all out. And some songs have 80, 100 tracks on them.
Wow.
Lots of Ultron, lots of guitar overdubs, lots of live strings, but the live take and the soul is still there.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of the whole idea behind The Garden's Gate. It's kind of the soundtrack to a movie that, you know, hasn't been made yet.
Have you guys started to play with how that will translate live?
Yes, and that's what we've been doing for months, and it is a bitch.
I bet, but it's probably so much fun. But knowing you, because you go from bass all the way back to the organs on the keys, then back to bass. So I can imagine that it's probably a little stressful just to learn that transition through all the songs.
Right, jumping back and forth, and it's kind of like a language thing. Like you're like kind of changing kind of a language a little bit.
Yeah.
But the most challenging part is, you know, I'm playing a mellotron part over here while like doing the organ and the bass pedals, and like I'm changing tones as I go. So
that's sick.
But that's the thing I've always loved about the organ. that you could create this massive sound with just one person. You could be doing rhythm in the left hand.
Yeah.
You could be doing lead in the right hand with a different drawbar setting. You could be filling in that bass while riding all these controls like a spaceship.
Oh, dude, I love that. Have you ever had a GoPro above you while you're playing all that stuff on the keys?
Yeah. I think we had that for Red Rocks. We played Red Rocks.
Dude.
We watched your performance, and that's why we are barefoot.
Yeah, that's why we went barefoot.
Yeah.
We saw Sam as he's we knew he would be. Yeah. We were geeking out, bro, man. We were watching that video.
So what is that again? Is that just a continuation of comfort that every single time you play, it's just
because in that video, I think he was the only one.
And in every performance, it seems like you're the only one. None of your brothers take them off, or Danny doesn't take them off.
It was always a thing for me, especially on starting early. I couldn't get the vibrations through my feet because it was so fucking loud that I couldn't hear anything that was going on. So I really relied off of the vibration off of the stage through my feet.
Yeah,
that's crazy because that's so not what I would imagine. I would have just assumed it was for comfort and stuff. So again, to know that it was for something so technical, that blows my mind.
Have you ever gotten a splinter on a stage?
Yes, or well, not necessarily a splinter, but walking off the dark stage and nailing your toe on some giant piece of metal.
Oh, dude. And you're like on this whole high coming off stage. You're like, oh, we just rock this show. And then boom, big toe stubbed.
I can't feel it.
I can't feel it. Is that what happened to your hematoma finger?
Well, what happened was I needed to go out to my car to grab some stuff. And we already had a night. And I was like in bed, going to bed. And I was like, okay, let's get this over with. So I just got out of bed, opened the door, closed it.
Oh, no. Your finger was there.
I know.
I question if that's a true story or you put Sharpie on your finger just so you could flip me off every time you feel like this interview's not going that well.
Nice. It's pretty good. It's a good bit.
Fuck you, Brian. Yeah.
Can we go back? Can we go back real quick though too? And I remember hearing a story about how your brothers used to have to drag you into the garage when you were young, and you were the one hesitant one. Did you have an idea if you wanted to do something separate when you were younger, or music wasn't your passion, or what was your hesitation there?
Yeah, man, I wanted to go into astronomy. I wanted to study the stars. I wanted to find new planets. I really wish I could have been part of the generation that has an opportunity to go to Mars, which, by the way, they're alive right now, which is crazy.
It's happening.
Elon.
It's happening right now, which is incredible. It's been so cool to watch. The rover landed.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I mean, you can listen to an audio transmission from Mars. I was actually doing that like 4 hours ago. I was looking at the surround images that they took, and like, that's really cool stuff, and that's always what I had a real passion for, is studying the galaxy, studying the universe. And
so could you be the first rocker though on Mars? Maybe like if Elon gives you a ticket, will you go? And again, you could maybe put on the first show out there.
That would be amazing. I know Metallica.
You'll sign up for it.
I know Metallica has played all 7 continents. They played a show in the Arctic with just through like headphones and stuff, because jamming Metallica volume would disrupt the
that would
the ice would crack.
Yeah, it would definitely crack the ice. Yeah. We'd have icebergs going everywhere at that point.
So yeah, that's their claim to fame, but yeah, maybe Mars.
I don't know, but do you think Tom DeLonge from Blink-182, doesn't he have like his whole alien sector with NASA? Have you ever read anything about that?
I know that he has sat in the bus. I've heard stories about him sitting in the bus on tours and just staring out the window for like hours and hours and hours and talking like Travis Barker about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
You got competition.
Yeah, I know. Hell, man. But yeah,
So do you still focus? Do you want to, again, you have this, do you still look, pay attention to the stars and the moon and stuff? Obviously you said you're watching that stuff. Is that still a big part of your life?
Yeah, I mean, the big stuff is really awesome. Like seeing the Perseids every summer and being in touch with where the technology is at, being really excited to see these photographs of like Pluto. I remember I was watching this like space show, like the Cosmos, back when I was just a little chillin'.
Just a little boy.
It's about that high off the ground. And it was like, it said, and this satellite will go past Pluto in the year 2019. I was like, whoa!
Yeah.
10 years. And then it was finally, I got to see it.
There's almost those similarities though to space and music and stuff, and again the discovery and the unfoundness, and again you could draw a lot of parallels, I feel like, from both.
It's cosmic, man. I mean, there's something about the universe that's just so unexplainable. Also, quantum mechanics was something I really got into. Essentially, how particles that are so small interact with each other. And one particle can interact with a different particle fucking hundreds of millions of light years away. And it's this insanity, it's this idea that life isn't mathematical.
Yeah.
It's not A plus B equals C every time.
Not at all. Yeah.
And that's something that you really have to be with as an artist, as somebody who is an expressionist. And Brian, I mean, you know this better than just about anyone. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier. Everything is its own independent case. It's not like we can put all this stuff in boxes like our previous generations have. Our parents and their parents. Kind of with the idea that, this is a binary thing, we'll put this in this box. The idea that gender is A or B. The idea that people are this way or that way.
No.
It's a spectrum, it's a rainbow. There's every little tiny thing in between. And that's what we're out here doing, right?
Exactly. I don't even believe in XY chromosomes, man. We're energy. It's a beautiful thing, and what resonates with me is love, and that's where I feel like you and I have connected from day one. Is you love the people around you, and you love what you do, and you radiate that energy, in a sense, because we have no idea when this is going to end. We have no idea when our particles will float off and go past the satellite towards Mars.
Goodbye.
We might end up on Mars, which would be fucking awesome. And I believe manager Matt will at some point. But
just be ready to do a lot of work.
I'm down. If my particles show up at Mars, I'm down to be a welder. Like I'll do whatever they need me to do if I show up on Mars.
You can't drink beer on Mars though.
Okay, I'm not going to Mars then. I'm done. Yep, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, listen, Elon, if you're listening, figure out a way for us to make sure we have an unlimited supply of beer on Mars.
But I feel like Sam's got my back though. Like if I end up on Mars, like if this version of me disappears today, and I end up on Mars in the next couple weeks, you're gonna send me beer. We're good.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
It'll only take 3 years or so to get there, so you might have to keep it on a little cool.
Can you imagine that truck just floating through space? It'll be there soon. You're just sitting there like, oh man, I don't even remember what hops taste like at this point. You just see it coming towards you.
You're like, man, I wonder if there's a lot of beer on that planet.
the wondering.
Like 2 minutes, man. Cheers.
Some juicy stuff you're hearing, I know, and we'll get right back to it. But I want to let you guys know, he's laughing, but I want to let you guys know, We have a Patreon, and if you want to see more juicy stuff, more footage that is not in this episode, if you hit this link right here, you can go to the Patreon, you can see that stuff. We have exclusive giveaways from Get Maine Lobster, Shipyard Beer. You can see everything that you cannot see in this episode that we're actually not allowed to load up on YouTube. If you click this link right here, join our group, you're going to get special offers, hangouts with us in the L&B studio, have a beer with us. You can even join our weekly Zoom calls where we edit these episodes. So once again, this Patreon right here. Now, back to the episode.
Well, I gotta ask you one thing though. So, will you ever play another bass on stage? Besides, I know you have the comfort. Will you have that one forever? Are you ever gonna change it?
This is my lady right here.
Oh, baby!
The seafoam.
Yeah, and no matter what color scheme we're doing, no matter if it's like, oh, this is all white or this is all this or that, this is always my girl. Yeah. This is me right here in a material object. I mean, this thing has a soul. And we found each other in this universe, and we were united.
I love that, dude.
Very naturally.
I love that, dude.
And I mean, I love her so much. I mean, it's just like the instrument I feel the most connected to out of anything. If I had to pick one material object, I'd pick her. Have you heard that story of Willie Nelson running back into his burning house and grabbing out his guitar and his weed?
Yeah, he goes, yeah.
I feel that.
Well, here's another quick question too that I want to know about. So after I think I read or saw you guys, after your first album, you guys rented a house in the Chattanooga Hills that was supposed to be really haunted, like a cabin or something. What I gotta believe you have a wily take. What's your take on, ghosts, spirits? Did you have any crazy interactions there?
Oh, hell yes. That was a very, very interesting place. I've never been anywhere quite like that, with that kind of energy. Yeah, it was high up in the hills, and you go out on the deck and all you see is billions of trees, like more trees than you could ever imagine rolling over these hills, and the sunsets were gorgeous, and I mean, it was the most scenic, beautiful thing. But when the sun went down, the strangest thing started happening. As lightning is flashing, it's like, ooh, very spooky. But no, it was a very, very energetic place, and we did a lot of great work there. We wrote some of our favorite songs, like "Age of Man," off of the last record, and there was a lot of strange energy around. And of course, there's a lot of pictures of from the 1850s hanging on the walls.
Oh shit!
Oh, that's really creepy. And yeah, you would hear noises and you would feel a presence. Sometimes I was there by myself and I felt this. I felt like somebody else was there. Not like in a bad way. Not like someone was gonna come murder me. I just felt like, okay, someone else's presence is here. Doesn't bother me. It's just like it's another thing. I can feel it.
Do you feel a difference in that creative space as compared to, again, being in the city or being in a studio and mainstream? Again, is there something freeing about being out there? Does that unlock something different? Do you get different type of music coming out of that?
Absolutely. And what that is, the biggest difference is that nobody's around. It's just us.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most wonderful thing. I mean, This is the thing that Brian does too. He goes off, rents a house on the beach for a few weeks, finds some material, because you don't have these adulty people around. No. It's like, no, let's just shoot the shit, be creative, try out some ideas that are probably insane. And see where we land. And once again, you can always pull back. I think something that we always do is we go into the studio very, very prepared. We know exactly what we're going to lay down, and we know why, and we know why it works. We know why the overdub was able to blend with the bass line and the guitar track, whatever. So I think that's always been something that's special to us. Is we call them demos, but they're like full-on recordings.
Yeah, full on, yeah.
Right. So yeah, exploring the possibilities without people around. So you're not like putting on a show or anything. It's really honest.
Yeah, that's why I said I love about you guys. And that was one of the things we talked about with Scott earlier, is that, you know, they sometimes you perform a song and it's so true to who you are and what you've been through in your life, and you finish recording that song and people congratulate you on it. And they're like, man, this was amazing. You knocked it out of the park. But sometimes you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, I had to live so much life and go through so much turmoil for this to come out of who I am, for me to play this bass line, keys line, to sing this line, whatever it is, to go through that. And, you know, sometimes there's such a juxtaposition there where it's like, you know, playing as an artist and wanting to almost, you know, to get a reaction from a crowd, but at the same time it's like just being who you are, and people take that for granted.
Oh no, I know exactly what you're saying. And I think the whole idea behind that is that you don't want to expose any weaknesses around an outsider, because that's the whole idea of playing. Is there a lot that we don't know about music? Hell yes.
Yeah.
We know what we're good at. Yes. And are we going to show the bad parts? Definitely not. And I think that's the whole idea of experimentation, is it should be private. If there were, you know, one producer we felt so comfortable with that we could just do whatever, I'm sure we would do that. But it's the four of us, and we're kind of our own producers for the most part. In that sense, exploring those ideas that may be shit.
Yeah. I love that, dude. The fact that you play in a band with your two brothers. So what's the age difference?
So Josh and Jake are 3 years older than me. I'm April of 99 and they're April of 96.
96. Okay, so I have two older brothers. So you're the youngest of three.
Yes.
I
have
actually
there's a sister in between too. But
say that again.
There's a sister in between.
Oh, there is? There's four of you.
Yeah, she's 18 months older than myself and 18 months younger than Josh and Jake.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
Well, shout out to your sister. Cheers to her.
Yeah, cheers to your sister. What's her name?
Veronica.
Veronica.
Oh, Veronica.
Cheers to Veronica. To having to deal with the brothers.
We got the whole early music inspirations was our father on harmonica. And every time I hear the instrument, it triggers this insane nostalgia. It's like all I can remember is trying to fall asleep on the ground in a cabin under a table. And I hear this, you know, guitar, piano, bass, and harmonica. And it's just like this beautiful, nostalgic thing. And like, so, you know, I've always been really drawn to Neil Young, Bob Dylan, and also all the old blues guys too, who, you know, infinitely played the best harmonica ever. And that's where my father got all his inspirations. And he very intentionally made sure that we knew where that came from. We said, okay, this is classic rock, you know, whatever you would consider that, you know, the Stones, Beatles perhaps, I don't know, Boston. Doesn't matter, but you, like, taking that and saying, okay, but where did this come from? And so we had the whole musical training growing up. So we were very in touch with that. We were listening to like Big Bill Broonzy and Robert Johnson, and Jimmy Reed.
How do you, speaking of Neil Young, man, how do you feel about the album from Neil Young, On the Beach?
Oh, man. You know what's crazy is I was at the pub and somebody that, you know, I respect their musical taste.
Yeah.
you should, listen to On the Beach again, because I tried, and from my musician standpoint, from whatever it was, well, I was like, oh, I don't know, I don't really like this, but I came back to it recently.
Yeah.
And I laid in bed, and I put my headphones on, and I was blown away. The whole way that I think of music is completely changed.
Wow.
And
Why?
every now and again, that there's something that comes along that changes your fucking perspective. The Beatles Love album changed my perspective on what music is.
That was my childhood. Yes.
Oh my gosh, how insane! It takes all this. It's like a Beatles universe.
Yeah.
It's like this whole universe of Beatles.
And different planets though too. That's a great way to put it, because it is a universe, because it's these different worlds that they created. I totally agree.
And they were able to take all this different material, all this different floating stardust, and combine it into something. So that changed my life back in high school. And then this was one of the biggest, like, crazy moments that I've had on the beach in the past few months. And what changed it for me was the rawness, the really truth to the energy of the music. I mean, there's no bullshit. And especially after we just recorded this giant widescreen cinematic album, it's like, damn, but we could just do the opposite. And it's so true. Like, listening to Revolution Blues.
Yeah.
And he gets in this character. He becomes a different person interpreting the story. And like Vampire Blues.
Yep.
There's this crazy thing that happens in the track where somebody's going with their mouth.
Yeah.
And it's, until you hear it, you're like, whoa, that's like somebody's like on my ear right now listening to this. And there's this organ track on that song that's just like, it's so strangest thing. But what I can appreciate about that, and the reason that it changed my view on recorded music, is that it's so raw and honest.
Yes.
We've been talking about it, my brothers and Daniel, and for the next record after Garden's Gate, we really want to do something the opposite of Garden's Gate, because we just spent a year and a half putting these tracks together exactly how we want it, with the 5 Mellotron tracks and extra strings and like drum overdubs and timpanis and explosions. And so now what I think we want to do is pull it back and make it just so unbelievably raw.
Yeah.
It hurts.
I love that, dude.
I think there's really something to be said about that too, though. Again, when I feel like when you guys were growing up and all the young musicians and stuff, everybody envisions, again, all, like you said, the explosions and everything like that and all the extra stuff. And then again, once you've had that, it really is something to go back to the raw. And I think that's the most beautiful thing.
Yeah, so I mean that's the idea for now. I mean, I guess the Beatles did it, Let It Be.
Oh yeah.
They said, hey, let's scale it back a little bit.
Yeah.
After 4 or 5 albums of huge production, they're like, but wait, where did we start?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know that Black Keys album, Magic Potion?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's some cool shit. I remember my father was listening to NPR, and he found this album. He went out and bought it, and he showed my brothers and I. We're like, whoa, this is really cool. It's just guitar and drums. It's so cool. I think it's perhaps the best Black Keys album. But yeah, revisit that, man.
Yeah, I love that. I love that album, and that makes so much sense, though. I think for you guys to just go back to just what you feel in that moment. It doesn't even matter, it's just the fact that there's no pressure It's just, hey, we're gonna get in the studio, we're gonna get in the room, we're gonna go to a cabin in Chattanooga, and we're just gonna create, which you guys have done from day one, is the beauty of music, and you encapsulate it. And I'm a fan, dude. That's all I have to say. I've become a fan. You did it to me just off of our friendship, and I had no idea what you were doing before we became friends, and now you're amazing. And you are also a great lobster roll maker.
Yeah.
Honestly,
you pulled it back with some comic relief there at the end.
No, not at all. Get out of here. Get out of here. My dude, I have one last question for you before we all just hang out and have a beer together. If there was an autobiography written about you today, what would the title of it be?
Way to lay a real easy question on me.
We'll edit out. We'll edit till you answer. You're good.
Well,
take your time. We're gonna write this for you.
Yes. If I had a biography written about me, what I would hope that it is kind of, let's say, the rebirth of humanity. Because I very much do think that's our generation. Yeah. And so I had this thought. And Brian, I think I did tell you about it when I was in LA, but the whole thought was I was sitting there in LA in the morning, went out, there's ashes falling from the sky. And I sat there for a while, and then I was kind of irritated at the fact that some scientist dude or whatever gave us the moniker Generation Z.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that about? Like, what is this, the end of humanity? Does this mean that there's no hope, that we're all gonna just perish? Because I do think that sometimes. And then I sat and I thought a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I actually came to a lovely conclusion that Generation Z is actually a very poetic and appropriate title for, I think, who we are. Because we're not the last generation. We're the last earthbound generation. We're the last generation to say, like we were talking about earlier, like, whatever it is, gender norms, races. I mean, throw it out the window, man. I mean, we're all human. And like we were talking about earlier, I mean, love is that third dimension that we have. Love makes humanity work. And I think that we're the final generation that is bigoted in some way. I think that we're the ones to set up the rest of humanity. And God, I hope we can make stuff work and we can understand each other and love each other, and stop war and stop hate, and put this all aside, because there's so much art that we have to produce and there's so much love that we have to give.
Yeah, dude. We don't need a book title on that shit. Yeah.
Hey guys, this is Sam from Greta Van Fleet, and you're watching Lobster and Beer TV.
Hey guys, I know we got kicked out of the bar. They called last call, but we're back. And I just want to let you know we appreciate you guys so much. Our fan base means everything to us. So if you can, hit the like button, subscribe right here, and hit us up on Instagram, socials, everything. Lobster and Beer TV. We love you. We will see you on the next episode. Peace!